Good evening and welcome to This Week, a weekly news review program. I am Anar Batr. And for top stories, healthcare workers are in double workload fighting COVID-19. Economic recovery in East Asia and Pacific faces setback. Mongolia's wheat harvest may fully cover domestic demand. And for the news, stay tuned. A South Korean signaling and communication system will be installed for the Taungtolgo-Zombayan Railway. The administration of Taungtolgo Railway have signed a contract with Korean National Railway for the comprehensive design, software development, equipment supply, and installation of the signaling and communication system.
The Taungtolgo Railway project is a 416.1-kilometer railroad connecting Taungtolgo and Zombayan, and 240-kilometer railroad connecting Taungtolgo and Kashon-Sukhat. Korean National Railway will be responsible for the installation of the project's signaling and communications system, and Mongolian Railway will serve as the main contractor.
Korean National Railway has an internationally recognized high-speed rail system, and it has experience in the construction of major railroad projects and the installation of the latest technologies. So we can expect that latest technologies will be introduced to Mongolia's 416 kilometers railroad. We are happy to take part in this major Mongolian development project. We are planning to install the best possible signaling and communication system that will suit Mongolian environment.
Development of the railroad commenced 2 years ago on June 24, 2019. The 416.1-kilometer railroad connecting Taungtolgo to Zombayan was completed in May 2021. Taungtolgo Railway plans to conduct tests in October of this year. With the successful installation of essential systems, the railroad will start operations in July 2022.
A cabinet of Mongolia held a regular meeting and made several decisions regarding the rising number of COVID-19 infections. Currently, there are a total of 27,000 hospital beds nationwide, and about half of them have been allocated for treating COVID-19 patients.
During the cabinet meeting, it was mentioned that there is a lack of hospital beds and manpower in the healthcare system, and that without increasing capacity in those areas, it would be difficult for healthcare facilities to provide basic services. As of now, there are 200 patients suffering from other non-communicable diseases and complications who are waiting to be hospitalized. Therefore, it was decided that 684 more beds would be made available at hospitals in the capital and provinces. Taking into account the recommendations of the Ministry of Health, the National Center for Communicable Diseases, and the Council of Scientists, the operations of food service businesses with poor air circulation, which can increase the risk of disease transmission, will be allowed to operate only until 10 p.m., and the mayor of Ulaanbaatar was instructed to monitor the implementation of the restriction. Government agencies will not be allowed to hold any events that are attended by more than 20 people. In addition, the temporary procedures for regulating the isolation of foreigner arrivals and temporary procedures for organizing international traffic at the Altınbalık border checkpoint that were approved by the chairman of the National Emergency Commission in 2021 have been cancelled. Starting on October 15th, foreign visitors arriving in Mongolia will not need to be isolated and will only be required to take PCR tests upon arrival at the airport.
On Tuesday, World Bank office held a press conference ahead of the launch of the October 2021 East Asia and Pacific Economic Update. The report provided an analysis of the recent economic development and the outlook for the region.
Economic activity began to slow down in the second quarter of 2021, and growth forecasts have been downgraded for most countries in the region, according to the World Bank's East Asia and Pacific Fall 2021 Economic Update. While China's economy is projected to expand by 8.5%, the rest of the regions is forecast to grow at 2.5%, nearly 2 percentage points less than forecast in April 2021. Employment rates and labor force participation have dropped, and as many as 24 million people will not be able to escape poverty in 2021. The damage done by the resurgence and persistence of COVID-19 is likely to hurt growth and increase inequality over the longer term, the update finds. The failure of otherwise viable firms is leading to the loss of valuable intangible assets, while surviving companies are deferring productive investments. Smaller companies have been hit the hardest. While most firms have faced difficulty, larger firms are likely to see a smaller decline in sales and more likely to adopt sophisticated technologies and receive government support. The report estimates that most countries in the region can vaccinate more than 60% of their populations by the first half of 2022. While that would not eliminate infections, it would significantly reduce mortality, allowing a resumption of economic activity. Jean-Pascal Nganou, World Bank senior economist for Mongolia, noted that the increase in food and fuel prices over the last months on the local market were the key factors that significantly contributed to the rise of inflation in Mongolia.
The Speaker of Parliament, Zandan Shatar, paid a working visit to the United States. During the visit, he held several meetings with U.S. officials, including the chairman of the International Republican Institute, Senator Dan Sullivan. The senator is actively promoting the Mongolia Third Neighbor Trade Act that enables trade cooperation between Mongolia and the U.S.
The bill aims for duty-free entry of textile items and products made of fibers containing cashmere, and therefore would support the Mongolian economy by creating jobs, diversifying exports, and would contribute to expanding trade and economic cooperation between Mongolia and the United States. Senator Sullivan agreed that Mongolian and U.S. trade cooperation will play an important role in diversifying Mongolia's economy. Furthermore, the two sides exchanged views on initiatives of expanding trade and economic cooperation. The bill had previously been reintroduced to the U.S. House of Representatives on April 22nd of this year. In addition, Speaker Zandan Shatar met with U.S. House Democracy Partnership Chairman David Price and discussed the promotion of democracy in Mongolia and supporting the development of effective, independent, and responsive legislative institutions.
The Ministry of Finance expects to export 1.2 million tons of copper ore and 36.7 million tons of coal in 2022, which is twice as much as last year.
As for gold, like last year, it's planned to transfer about 20 tons of gold to the Bank of Mongolia. According to the Ministry of Finance, the attention was drawn to the export of coal. This is due to the fact that Mongolia was unable to use the main export ports to their full capacity. Therefore, it's planned to increase coal exports to 2019 levels. Officials say the plan is to maximize the potential of coal exports since the Transport Tribunal was established in Kashon-Sukhat border port and was commissioned last week.
We aim to reach the maximum level we reached back in 2019 with 36 million tons. It is necessary to strive for this as a reality. Although we haven't managed to export as much coal as we had planned this year, our projected export earnings for this year are still looking relatively good, given the high amount of copper ore exported and the improved prices for that. In other words, we are missing out on a year that could have given us more opportunities if we could have taken full advantage of our export potential.
Prices for gold, copper, coal, and iron ore have risen steadily this year, stimulating an export-oriented economy, according to the National Statistical Office. However, the finance minister said that when drawing up the state budget for next year, he didn't factor in a rise in prices.
Assuming the mining supercycle has started, it usually lasts from 2 to 5 years. In 2 years, we have the opportunity to continue price increases until June 2022. If the internal pandemic situation is not good, we will risk exporting only 20 million tons this year. The good news is that the railway will be operational by the end of 2022. I don't think this will affect exports by the end of this year either.
The most recent mining supercycle occurred in 2010 to 2011 when demand from the industrial sector of our southern neighbor increased greatly. During that time, Mongolia's economy has grown. This revival is unique in that our country is moving forward in terms of human resources and technology. Therefore, economists recommend to attract investments in the exploration sector, improve logistics, and put the railway into operation without any further delay.
The Ministry of Food, Agriculture and Light Industry reports that about 50% of vegetables and almost 20% of wheat have been harvested nationwide, with this year's harvest at the same level as last year.
A total of 660,000 hectares were cultivated this year. Grains were planted on 420.2 thousand hectares, 389.4 thousand hectares with wheat. Potatoes were planted on 19.8 thousand hectares, 9.9 thousand hectares were cultivated with vegetables, 100.4 thousand hectares with oil plants, 100,000 hectares with fodder, and 4.7 thousand with berries and fruit. More than 10,000 students, soldiers, and law enforcement officers are participating in this year's harvest due to a shortage of workers. Recently, light snow has hit most parts of Mongolia. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, the snow is melting in the southwestern part of Silong Province and in the northwestern part of Tuk Province. So far, there have been no reports of harvest problems in agricultural areas. This year's harvest is expected to fully cover Mongolia's domestic demand for wheat. Wheat is usually harvested by October 20th, but this year's harvesting is expected to be complete by November 1st.
The newly built ice rink opening ceremony was held on Wednesday, September 29th. The ceremony was attended by the President of Mongolia, Hursuk, and the initiator of the project, Tsagan.
The ice rink is 70 meters long and was constructed with a column-free roof and meets the latest international standards. The Ice Palace project was initiated by Ponsien Tsagan, chairman of the board of the Steppe Arena company. The foundation stone of the Ice Palace, located to the east of the Boyuntuha neighborhood, south of the Shinyarmak district, was laid on April 14, 2019.
This ice rink not only provides our athletes with a training environment to successfully prepare for the Winter Olympics, but also promotes winter sports among our younger generation. It is a big contribution to the Mongolian sports sector, but also to the cultural development of our country. On behalf of our people, I wish the initiators and founders of the sports rink all the best. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to all people who contributed to the successful implementation of this project. I would like to also say thank you to the President of Mongolia for honoring us with his visit. In April of 2019, we laid the first foundation stone of this ice rink. And after 2.5 years, or exactly 898 days, we are launching this ice palace and are ready to host our visitors. Notably, we want to express our heartfelt gratitude to national companies who took part in the construction of this ice rink. Our company maintained a policy to hire and contract only national companies. As a result, more than 100 Mongolian companies successfully completed this project by following all international standards and safety rules.
After consulting with professional sports design organizations and architects from Canada's HDR, CEI, and VDA, the guys from Anagram, a Mongolian company, designed the ice rink. Most of the construction funding was provided by Achitich LLC as part of its social responsibility. 95 Mongolian and 60 foreign companies and a total of 1,600 construction workers and engineers participated in the construction of the Ice Palace. The Ice Palace is the first of its kind in Mongolia to introduce new technologies such as zip-roof system, folding floors, refrigerators, consoles, and aerial engineering. The Ice Palace has capacity of 2,500 to 2,600 people, and it can host not only winter sports such as ice hockey, figure skating, and short track speed skating, but also indoor sports competitions.
The Speaker of Parliament, Tsandan Shatter, met with World Bank and International Monetary Fund officials during his visit to the United States. Observers believe that one of the main outcomes of these meetings is that the World Bank and the IMF have reached an agreement on cooperation with Mongolia in the post-COVID-19 economic recovery. The first meeting was with Ms. Manuela Ferrer, the World Bank's Vice President for East Asia and Pacific region. Today, Mongolia has the potential to resume foreign trade, a period of supercycles in the mining sector, and the recovery in the domestic economy. Therefore, Zandanshatter stressed the importance of the World Bank's support in the reviving of the post-COVID-19 economy.
We discussed about creating a legal and economic environment that would increase employment from the export of raw materials to production and create more jobs.
There are issues in Mongolia such as targeting rising welfare expenditures, targeting budgets to reduce deficits, and expanding the economy, which is highly dependent on mining. As a result, bilateral resource-seeking meetings provided opportunities for greater collaboration on a macro level. International Monetary Fund Vice President Kurosawa received Speaker of Parliament Zandanshatter and other officials.
Fiscal discipline and banking reform are issues that are demanded by international organizations. We don't need this risk if Mongolia's budget deficit and debt are low. We have said that we are trying to maintain good fiscal discipline, keep debt levels low, reduce welfare payments, and reduce bribery without having to rely on international aid.
Some politicians have suggested that the Asian development model is more suited to Mongolia. In other words, during the meeting, they discussed the development path of the countries such as Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan, as well as Mongolia's interest in making it their future direction. Now let's take a look at this week's sports news. Sumos greatest ever champion Hakuho Tawajarl has decided to retire over persistent knee trouble, Japanese media reported on Monday, leaving a gaping hole at the top of the ancient sport. The Mongolian-born 36-year-old has won a record 45 tournaments, 13 more than anyone else in history, but has been sidelined by injury for most of the year. Yokozuna Tawajarl had been considering retirement after failing to recover from a right knee injury that has kept him out of tournaments in recent years, according to the source. Hakuho appeared to be on the comeback trail when he returned to the ring to win the Nagoya Grand Sumo tournament in July with the perfect 15-0 record after missing all or part of the previous 6 tournaments due to injuries and a COVID-19 infection. But he and 17 other wrestlers of the Miyagino stable were forced to skip the just-ended the fall tournament due to multiple COVID-19 cases in the stable. With 1,187 career wins and 1,093 Makuchi division wins, Hakuho's career was filled with records and defining moments. The 69th Yokozuna in the Asian sports history, Hakuho, whose Mongolian name is Muhuatin Tawajarl, debuted in the spring of 2001 and won the first top division title at the summer meet in May 2006, when he first fought at the second highest rank of Ozeki. Standing 1.92 meters tall and weighing 155 kilograms, Hakuho was known for his wide-ranging attacking style and reached the highest rank of Yokozuna ahead of the Nagoya meet in July 2007, aged just 22 years and 2 months. Hakuho acquired Japanese citizenship in September 2019, giving him the right to run his own stable of wrestlers in the future. The 2021 World Military Boxing Championships were held in the Russian capital, Moscow, welcoming athletes from 39 countries. Mongolia participated with 8 athletes and they won 2 silver and 1 bronze medal from the Military Boxing Championship. The 58th World Military Boxing Championships were held in Moscow, Russia from September 18th to 25th. More than 300 boxers from 36 countries competed in 10 weight categories for men and 5 categories for women. 5 male and 3 female athletes from Mongolia participated in the competition. On September 25th, Bolortol and Dinhammer competed for the women's 57 kg gold medal and the men's 56 kg gold medal respectively. Bolortol and Dinhammer are also husband and wife. Bolortol defeated Daria Abramova of Russia and won a silver medal. However, her husband, Dinhammer, lost to Russia's Ovik Oganisyan and won a silver medal. On the evening of the 24th in Khmand-Kharkho, the bronze medalist of the World Armed Forces Games in the 52 kg weight category fought with the host country boxer Dmitry Tvali for the silver medal. The young Russian boxer was declared the winner by the judges. Khmand therefore won the bronze medal. The Russian Federation won the team classifications thanks to a medal haul of 7 golds, 4 silver and 4 bronzes. Well, that's all for this week. Thank you for staying with us. We will see you next week with more news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.